Hi there. This is going to be a review of this particular unit. This is a new style. It's a brand new unit. It's a 2019 unit. The first two digits of the serial number is the year it was built. This is a 2019. So this is brand new this year. This is a Gallagher M800. This is the new style that just came out with us, I think, about 2 or 3 years ago. I have never had one of these in for repair before. I get a lot of the old style M800s that were made 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, but I've never had one of these in. So I wanted to kind of run it through its paces a little bit. I wanted to see what it looked like on the inside and everything. But so far, my initial look of it is pretty, feels pretty thick. Like it's got some good plastic in it. If you flip over to the back, looks like they got a molded design for where the transformer sits at there, and the capacitor sits right there. On the paperwork that came with it, and the packaging has a little deal here. It talks about the warranty and all this stuff. It's got it in multiple languages and stuff. I'm sure this unit is probably sold other countries. There might be a variation to like M900, M700 in other markets, but here in the States or North America in general, it's called the M800. Now it does come with this a little manual here as M360, M560, M800. All three of those units, from what I can tell, are all the same case. Just different sticker on the front and a little bit different guts on the inside to make one bigger or stronger in power. But the manual's pretty nice. They've got the generic, don't open it up, what's plugged in, you get electrocuted, that kind of stuff, and tells you how to install it and how to, some little things about how far away it needs to be from ground rods and other ground systems and stuff, and how many ground rods you should have, what kind of voltage you should read on the fence and stuff, depending on what depending on what kind of setup you've got. It's got some other things in here about how the Energizer works. Talks about should pulse like every second or two. Talks about using on permanent fence, use 12.5 gauge. It's just just the generic stuff that you would need for electric fence guide. Talks about how to what kind of holes and how to drill the holes and what size to mount on the wall. Now these, I do not think these are rated to be outdoors. No, it's not. Look on the back here, it says for indoor use only. So there's probably not any gasket in here, which is fine because most brands that are plug-in units do not have any kind of gasket. But we'll see, maybe they got some kind of something in there, maybe help out with water getting inside. So I would say install this thing indoors, or if you have to put it outside, I would say to build some kind of little cover for it. What we did, we've got a plug-in unit sitting out wrapped around and sitting down on a T-post out in the middle of a field with extension cord running out to it. And we just put a 5-gallon bucket over it. These units don't get that hot, so you have to worry about overheating or anything. So you have to worry about that. That's about it in the manual. I mean, they got some other little things here on an all-hot system for all hot wires, and it has a ground return system deal on here. So if you depend on what kind of fence setup, and it talks about there's a voltage checklist here, like a troubleshooting guide, which I can kind of go through that a little bit. I mean, it's generic stuff you would use on any brand, but it's kind of a nice little thing in there in case you're curious if my charger's got a problem. And then it's got some other little things here for permanent fence and portable fence, and then it gets into another language, which is French. So it has Spanish and German maybe as well in here. Yep, Spanish. But anyways, the only other thing it's got, it's just some little goofy thing here. Has a guy, he says avoid contact, and it shows stuff like that. So it's just some generic stuff, but nice little helpful things. This is a 110, 120 volt unit. So check out these knobs. Some brands use crappy knobs, crappy bolts. Some brands use really good knobs. These seem to be pretty good. They're it's like they're plastic molded and everything, but the bolts are real nice. They're using this like stainless steel bolts on them versus that pot metal stuff they used to use. So maybe they're stepping up their game on that, which is nice. They also looks like they have the fence and the hot terminal with the lightning bolt and the ground terminal right there. So if you drop your knobs or pull them off, you're like, okay, which wire's which? You know, the green is ground, has a ground symbol in there, so he's matched that up. And the red hot terminal has the little lightning bolt, so he's matched that up. We'll leave those off for a second. So I'm going to plug it in and test it and just kind of see what it does. Like it has a little light there that flashes, so we're plugging in here. So it's got a green light there flashing. With every pull, so I'm going to put my fence tester on here and see what kind of voltage we get out of it. This is an 8 stored joule unit, so probably outputs like 4 to 5. So it shows almost 10,000 volts popping out of it, so that's pretty good volt reading. Let me grab a piece of wire here and we'll just do a spark test to see what kind of spark this will jump. Might be able to do a screwdriver here. Let me get a. It's kind of arched on the front there, so I need a wire here. But so far, initial thoughts on this thing seem to be pretty good. So that's a pretty good spark. There'll probably be a 1/4 inch gap there, maybe a little bigger, maybe 1/2 inch gap there. So I imagine if your fence is pretty clean, you should get, you know, 8,000–9,000 volts at least out of it at your fence. Now let's pull this thing apart and see what the inside look like. All right, so it's got 5 screws in it, 1 in each corner, and then 1 over here. All right, the back cover doesn't have anything in it. Well, there's what the inside looks like. There's the transformer, capacitor, and circuit board. So it's a pretty basic looking unit on how it's set up. So repair wise, it seems like it's going to be a fairly straightforward kind of repair on one, depending on whatever goes wrong with it. I've never, with these been around, I think, like I said, 3 years or so, and I've never had one come in yet. So they probably, if they do go bad from lightning or whatever, I imagine they're going back to manufacturer. But once they go out of warranty, maybe I'll get to work on one. But see what size capacitor it's got in there. It has a 45 microfarad capacitor, which is normal for about this size unit. Most units that are in this range are in that 30 to 40 range. The transformer looks like it just kind of plugs in and unplugs. It's like a multi-core looking transformer, so that's good. It means it's going to handle the heat and stress real well. It's like it's a potted epoxy transformer. It's like they have a little, see this little tube thing running across here. I imagine when these things are sitting down on a table when they're building these transformers, they probably put a nozzle in that little hole there and squirt all that resin in there to fill it from this way up, pushing the air out of it. So that's a smart idea. So they got a good thing going there. And they're using this like stainless steel bolts, which is nice because some brands use that pot metal crap, and they rust, they burn up, they tarnish, they corrode, they arc. So Gallagher's got a good, it's like good transformer on them. And it looks like the boards are pretty well. So they got this. I don't want to touch too much because there's a charge probably built in one of these somewhere. But it tells you which wire goes where on the capacitor, purple and brown there. It tells you which black and black for your transformer. That's pretty easy. And your power cord sits over here. Got a fuse there as well. See what size fuse it is. It's a thicker filament, so it's probably like a time delay or slow blow fuse. It is a 0.5 amp, so half amp, 250 volt fuse it looks like, if I'm reading that right. They even got a little lightning rod deal that runs down here for the fence, for the lightning comes in on the ground hot side. It can jump across here to that gap, this little rod there, run across, and it's rested right up against the ground side. So hopefully to go to the ground. And what that's supposed to do is hopefully protect it from hitting the transformer and going to the board. So that's a nice little clever idea. So they did a pretty good job. Now, the one thing I do see for sort of protecting from water, there is a groove thing here that's on the inner side of the case. Looks like it runs all the way around the case here. And it looks like when you put that on there, yep, slides in back behind here. So it does give it like a trough to kind of block out the water. So any water hopefully stays right up inside here. It would be best to keep it indoors, but I guess if you have it outside, you've got to, I wouldn't say waterproof by any means, but it's definitely really water resistant. The other thing I noticed when I was touching this stuff, they must put some kind of coating on it, because this has got like this really hard like gel on it. You can kind of see it, how it's got this stuff on it, and the board's got on there too, so it's probably like some kind of coating they put on there to try to keep the corrosion down, and also for water from getting on there. So water is going on there. Hopefully it's going to protect a lot of the components. So they did a good job for keeping, to help keep the water from shorting anything else. So I'm sure it could happen, but they definitely did their best they could think of to try to help that out. They got some lightning protection built in here. They got a fuse on it. They got a spark gap down over there, kind of looks like. Initial thoughts on it seem to be pretty good built unit. See how easy it is to put this case back on. That went on pretty easy. So I would say if you're thinking about buying one, it seems to be internally looks like a pretty good built unit. Like I said, I've never had one come in for repair before. The M560 probably set up fairly similar to this one. Same with the M360, but this seems to be a pretty good unit. I like it, so I give it my thumbs up. So if you're thinking about buying one, M560 or M360, this would probably be a good unit. They seem to be pretty dense on how they're built. They're pretty thick. Got some good, not heavy, but they got some good weight to them. They made it compact, but it's not like cheap. Feels like it's well built. It feels durable. Doesn't feel cheap plastic or cheap guts on the inside. And Gallagher makes the transformers in house. They don't that I know of. I know that for a fact. Capacitors they probably source from somebody and have them specially made for their brand. But Gallagher makes the transformers in house. They don't buy them from China and have them in, like Zariba does, and have them and assemble them there. They even build their own plastic cases in house and stuff. They have a plastic molding department, that injection molding, that makes all the cases for all their stuff. So they do about, I'd say, good percentage of their stuff is all built in house and then assembled by them, down there in New Zealand. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. If you've got a fence charger that's broken, that's what we do. We work on fence chargers. But until we do another video of how one works or the features of one, we will see you guys later. And remember to check out our website, which is fencerfixer.com. And Fencer and Fixer is spelled with an F as in Frank. There'll be a link in the description.